try to figure out how to get your hands working in something so small. Now, yeah, if you were good enough at throwing off the hump, you could do stuff like that, but then you would have to do a chuck to be able to hold these, to be able to trim the bottom. So, because that was one thing.
When could we learn how to make a chuck?
Well, let's see. I'm doing a little skill building class on how to throw off the hump as well as create your own chucks and chums. And the difference between a chuck and a chum, because I've never heard of chum until I started investigating. Chucks are the ones that go down like this. So if you have a tall bottle or something like this that you need to trim the bottom, it would fit inside it. That's a chuck. A chum is almost something like this that you put the piece on top of. Like if you had a bowl or a cup that you need to, instead of trying to, take something like this and put little lugs around little things like that, you just take something like that, the clay is a little soft, maybe leather hard, and you literally just put the piece right on top of it and it holds it. And it just makes a big difference. So if I'm throwing stuff off the hump, small bottles, I go all the way to the bottom and I leave myself enough clay to be able to do a little chuck or a little chum so that I can trim the pieces I just did. So that's something that I would teach
on Thursday nights.
Thursday nights, since my Good to Great did not go. It's supposed to start next Thursday if I get enough people who are interested in it. Okay, so this is half a pound, and I can't remember which one I'm going to do. I'm going to do just the regular closed form. So it's like any other piece. You have to open it up. Make sure you give yourself a little bottom. Hopefully ahead of time you get an idea. I mean, those are all pretty much, except for the little pyramid type shape. They're all kind of close to the same size. Some a little taller, skinnier. So just kind of think of what size you want to make this, because I said it's not a lot of clay. Establish that bottom. You still want to get that compression on the inside. And then pull it up. And I'm trying to keep it a little bit going in. Let's see, I don't even have my sponge ready. Just trying to figure out. One thing you don't want to do when you're doing closed forms like this, you don't want to get this rim too thin. Because when you go to start closing it, it's going to start wanting to ripple. And if it does, just cut it off and do a little something smaller. But even after throwing closed form pig balls and sheep balls, I still have that problem sometimes. So I'm just pulling it up, going too fast, and I get it too thin. And I just have to cut it off and do another one. But since I'm working off the hump instead of individually like here, I don't have any problem with that. But make sure you get the water out. So it's just a simple little form here. I can try to get a little more efficient, or let's see, I'm going to go ahead and sometimes a little rib just to see if I want to take anything more. See, that's pretty good. Okay, so, and now it's the battle of trying to close it in. Since it's so small, you got to figure out how your hands are going to work. And when I'm doing balls, my fingers literally cross each other, depending on what I'm doing. So I'm trying to figure out with something like this, how am I going to do that? So I've got this hand here. This is just something that my hand automatically does. This finger curls down, and it gives me almost 5 points to work with. So if you there's different ways of doing it, and you're just going to have to find something that's comfortable for you. But this right here is just something that my hand automatically does. I don't know when I started it. And what I'm doing is that as you're closing it in, it's getting a little thicker. So I don't want to get it too thick here, so I'm going to do every now and again. And here's actually using my pinky sometimes to help me shift that in there. Back. And see, I need this little bit of coming up top here. I've got a little thick. Because for me to be able to close it in, I need that little bit work. Okay. Now this is something I'm going to show you. It's a lot of fun. If you're doing this and it's starting to collapse on you a little bit when you get to this point, this is going to be fun.
Do that again, because I missed it. Oh, maybe you don't want to do it again. Okay.
I can't do
No
it
problem.
again with this one, but I
No
may do
problem.
it. But that right there is because sometimes when you get the little like this, instead of opening it back up to starting to collapse, this right here just give it some air. So
Mouth to mouth
CPR.
resuscitation.
yeah, little exactly. But it's just something fun that I do, and then I'm just going to collapse it. And I'm just going to keep going. You can use the different tools. I just use my little pinky and just take that little bit of clay off. And yes, I am making it look so easy. I've got 3 balls here, so I can do it again. And then if you want to, make it smooth. And that's the nice thing about these metal ribs. It's soft enough you can actually curve it. You get a nice smooth.
And with the closed form, you've got the pressure on the inside, so it's easy to shape it like that.
Yes.
It's not gonna collapse, it's like.
No, because it's closed. There's
Like a
air caught in
balloon.
it, like a little. But you have to be careful also is not let it dry too much, or it may pop on you. I've actually had that happen. So,
Before you open it up.
before, yeah. But you can also just put a little air hole in
Okay, so,
And let me-
you're just making the regular one with a hole?
there. Yes, yes. And I'm just going to clean it up just a little bit down here, and do that little bit of an undercut. And that is just,
That looks so much fun.
and that's a little short, fat one. I mean.
Wonder how many times I make, like
And if you,
25
okay,
times like it
and
one
these,
night,
so
yeah.
this is half a pound, and because when I weighed these right here, they were half a pound, so I could have used 3/4 of a pound. A pound is gonna be too big,
Yeah.
so you may go 3/4.
That's a good size. So honestly, how many times did you do something like that before you got it right?
You mean consistency or just to get a close form?
Get it close for
It took a little bit because I kept collapsing it, getting it too thin, rippling the top, and I still do that.
her. Okay.
But you saw what I
just wanna
did.
be realistic about my expectations.
Yes, and you may want to go 3/4 to a pound, because it said this right here, it's going to shrink. So more than likely, I had 3/4 to a pound with those.
But that would be a good size salt shaker.
Yeah,
Once
but
it shrinks.
remember, it's going to shrink. So if you want it to be finished this size, 3/4 to a pound. So what I'm going to do is combine these 2 half pounds and show you the difference in size. Yes, because this right here is just so small. This is going to be a cute little one. If you don't do a lot of salt and pepper, something this size is, it's going to shrink down to about like this. It'll be a nice little size because these are kind of oversized. But one thing that's kind of neat, if you had something like this and the holes were large, seasoned salt. If there's a special seasoned salt with fresh herbs like that that you like to use, put it in something larger like this. But also make sure the holes are large enough so that the herb can come out. So you don't end up with just all salt or all pepper. But that's something you got to think about. So, okay, what I'm going to do then, oh, yes, I'm going to do that one. Okay. This bat was a little warped on one side, so I turned it over. It's still going to be, let's see. Okay, so found out from doing the demo that it's more like half a pound will give you a nice small one. I'm going to do these 2 together. So this is a pound.